ones have more fun, which is hard to imagine since quite a few of them aren't even bipolar. After extensive political analysis, I have concluded why John Kerry did not win the presidency. He didn't do well at the polls. Did you know that at this very moment, there is a portion of European society that is running from pole to pole? And they consider that going all the way? Know how to make a gay boy mad? Banish him from the polls. What is more colorful than the aurora borealis? The inside of a Dipsy dumpster? Do you know why monkeys stay by the equator? Because they don't have britches. What do transvestites call the long Arctic darkness? Eyeshadow. My girlfriend's mother had an albino donkey. I told her, that reminds me of the long Arctic summer. And she said, what? And I said, the color of your mother's ass. What do you call being locked in the closet for 3 months with the lights on? Cultural enlightenment. Know why they don't teach geography much anymore? Because all good girls' mothers tell them to leave the poles alone. An Inuit went to Colombia. He was looking for a piece of grass. Some Mexicans told me, why don't you go play with your pole? That was awful nice of the Mexicans. I have a Chinese friend. She said, I don't want to play with poles. And I said, well, I guess you never go farther than there then. What do little equatorial boys do when the sun doesn't come up in the long Arctic winter? His panics. You might say to yourself, it's about time someone had the nuts to play with poles, and I want you to know, it's only because I'm equatorial that I have nuts. You know what a cowgirl's favorite sport is? Racing from pole to pole. Though sometimes her horse gets in the way. The police said, how high are you? And I said, what? And they said, because we want to know what latitude you think you have. And how do we know that trees are nefarious? Because they cast shadows. My girlfriend whined, you never take me anywhere. And that is a dang lie. I know for a fact she's been near a pole. And to be polite to the equatorial people, it's not how many poles you have, it's how you use the one in your hemisphere of influence. Rent the whole world and have a ball. I know a Mexican by the equator. He's a real down, vato. On the third day, God created grass, and I must say that was a step in the right direction. An Inuit said, I'd really like to go to the Caribbean someday. I hear on all the islands they have grass. Poor, poor white people, happen to be the same color as they. How can we tell human beings are getting screwed? Because God has a pole. Moreover, he's got 2 of them. And you thought it was that raw chafing feeling. Though we may not act like it, God is bipolar. Bipolar hell is the equator. I myself have spent some time in the dark. As a matter of fact, I have been in the dark most of my life. Sort of like Denzel Washington. The thing about the bipolar religion is that it transcends countries' borders. Why, even the French can lock themselves in the closet and play Long Arctic Darkness. Belonging to the dark side of the bipolar religion is cool, because no one can see your mind, which comes in handy if you were born abroad. Anyone born abroad certainly wouldn't want others to see their mind. An equatorial girl visited the Arctic during the long Arctic darkness, but she wasn't satisfied. Why? Because the sun didn't come up. George Foreman said, don't mess with Texas. Well, Nobody would mess with Texas if they had a real good long one. He was talking about littering, Aurora Borealis kid. Oh, okay. So don't anyone litter, else you see what a real good long one is. Guess what the national sport of the bipolar religion is? Pole vaulting. The gays make a big deal out of coming out of the closet. I wish they would so I could get in the closet and play Long Arctic Darkness. Light is psychologically beneficial to mental health, so it is my psychiatric belief that we should make all the nuts move from pole to pole in the daylight for their own benefit. Something that crazy they are probably up to anyhow. I call it pole therapy. Sherlock Holmes was standing in the night, and a voice spoke, "I can't see the sun." And Sherlock Holmes queried, "What sun? What sun?" What do members of the dark side of the bipolar religion call marriage? Oh, one night stand. And to mitigate all those people coming out of the closet, we should at least banish them from the poles. Hard though that may be, since the pole is why they came out of the closet in the first place. And as a warning, don't stay in the closet too long playing Long Arctic Darkness, or else you become a skeleton in the closet. After 2 months in the long Arctic winter, all of a sudden, a Norwegian girl walking down the street stopped, let out a gasp, reached up and brought a lock of her hair around to inspect it. "Whew," she exclaimed, "still blonde." I know a native girl who said, "I didn't know Indians have 2 poles." Well, that's because the Indians are always behind the counter at the Quickie Mart. The president of Mexico said, "Where are you from, boy?" And I replied, "I was born abroad." To which he countered, "Thank goodness everyone can't say that." A girl said, "You want to go around the world?" However, I suspect she's never even left her province. Bless her heart. Going around and around in the daylight at the poles is more fun than Disneyland. And it's free. Moreover, even the midgets can have fun because you don't have to be this high to ride. Know why equatorial people beg? Because their days are so short, they just want 2 days. Know why down by the equator they keep Ice Cube in the cooler? Because otherwise Ice Cube would melt. I know some macho vatos who declared in unison, "We absolutely refuse to run from pole to pole." I don't think they were bipolar. I was touring Japan, and a native there said, "Aso, the leader of the bipolar religion." I did nothing to be called an Aso. I was touring a reservation, and a native there said, "Aho, the leader of the bipolar religion." Though I gave him no reason to be called a hoe. That's all right. Have a nice little week, 12-hour day, you little equatorial persons. Bill Cosby said, "Anyone who does not pass the 6th grade, I suffer not lightly." I think he was telling the truth. Just be thankful he doesn't do it all day long. A friend of mine exclaimed, "Now you can keep the white girls in the light. All you have to do is get them to run from pole to pole." And I replied, "They're already doing that." And since we now know that some people do not have nuts, if you do have nuts, wherever you go, take your own nuts with you in case they don't have nuts there. And always remember, if you thought everyone had 12-hour days and 12-hour nights like you do, that pretty much is an indicator that you are stupid as all get out. Have a good night.